Come closer, my child, and listen well. In Umuagu, people did not say, all that glitters is not gold, because of fake jewelry in the market. They said it because of the season when a shining man came down the old forest road and nearly led the whole village into the dark. It happened in the year hunger sat openly in people's compounds. The rains had come late, then angrily. Yam mounds washed open, cassava softened in the ground. The stream ran brown, then shrank too quickly under the returning sun. Mothers learned to stretch thin soup and pretend the pot was full. That was the season a young woman named Adaoma lived with her mother, Neka, near the old mango tree. Adaoma was not the loudest girl in Umuagu, nor the one people praised first. But she had quiet eyes and a mind that caught small things, a smile that arrived too quickly, a silence that felt heavy, a shadow that did not behave like other shadows. Her mother used to say, Adaoma hears what silence is trying to say. On the morning the stranger came, that gift became the first warning the village ignored. It began like any other market morning. Women spread pepper, garden eggs, palm oil, and dry fish on woven trays. Men argued over the price of a thin goat. Children chased each other through red dust, laughing until their mothers shouted them back. Then the village dogs stopped barking. The goats near the palm oil stall lowered their heads and became still. A woman who was arranging crayfish looked toward the old forest road and dropped one piece from her hand. Something was shining on the road. At first, people thought sunlight had touched water, but the road was dry. Dust lay thick on the earth. The shining came closer until everyone saw that it was a man. His wrapper was white, cleaner than any cloth that had walked through dry season dust. Gold rings covered his fingers. Around his neck, beads glowed softly, as if fireflies had been locked inside them. In his hand rested a golden staff, though he walked strongly and had no need for support. He stopped in the market square and smiled like a relative returning from a long journey. "My people," he said, "I have heard your crying." The stranger did not enter Umuagu with threats. He entered with answers. He bought poor yams with gold. He paid for wilted vegetables as if they were treasures. He gave a widow enough to clear a debt. He placed gold into the hands of people who had forgotten the weight of abundance. People laughed, some cried. Others called him a blessing before they even knew his name. Only Neka did not move closer. Her hand tightened around Adaoma's wrist. "Do not accept anything from him," she whispered. Adaoma looked from her mother to the stranger. "Why?" Before Neka could answer, the stranger's eyes found Adaoma across the market. His smile widened, not like a man pleased to see a child of the village, like someone who had heard the question inside her mouth and was waiting to answer it later. Adaoma looked down and noticed his shadow. It sat too close to his feet, dark and flat, even when he moved. By afternoon, the stranger began giving gifts. To Okechukwu, the farmer whose fields had failed, he gave a pouch of golden seeds. "Plant them before moonrise," he said. "By morning, your farm will remember you." To Izamaduka, the chief, he gave golden cowries for his palace. A ruler should not look poor before his people. To a grieving mother whose little boy had been sick, he gave a golden anklet. "This will keep him safe." Then he turned to Obiageli, Adaoma's closest friend. Obiageli was the girl people praised for beauty, until even her name seemed to carry admiration before she entered a room. The stranger brought out a small mirror with a golden handle. "For the girl whose beauty is not yet complete." Adaoma's heart tightened. "Obi," she whispered, "leave it." But the whole market was watching. The mirror was beautiful. The stranger was generous. And Obiageli had been taught all her life that being admired was safety. So she took it. The moment she looked into the mirror, her skin seemed to glow from beneath. People gasped. Obiageli laughed, but Adaoma heard fear inside that laugh. For the first few days, Umuagu rejoiced in a way that made caution look foolish. Okachukwu's golden seeds grew overnight. His farm stood green before morning, every leaf broad and perfect. The chief's palace shone in evening light. The sick child stopped coughing. Debts were paid. Empty cooking pots became full again. People began saying, "God remembered us." But Adaoma could not rest. The food from the golden farm filled stomachs, but carried no smell when it cooked. Soup made with the leaves satisfied the body, and left the mouth confused, as though the spirit had eaten nothing. The child with the golden anklet stopped crying like other children. One afternoon near the stream, Adaoma saw him fall and scrape his knee. He looked at the wound and smiled. Children should not smile like that. The chief also changed. Ezimaduka's voice grew sharp. He fined people harshly, dismissed elders who questioned him, and said Umuagu needed strength, not complaints, and Obiageli began carrying the mirror everywhere. At first it seemed harmless. Then she started looking into it while people were speaking to her, answering late as if returning from far away. One evening, Adaoma found Obiageli sitting behind the women's meeting hut, holding the mirror close to her chest. "Obi, I came to your house yesterday," Adaoma said. "You refused to come out." Obiageli did not look at her. "I was tired." "Tired of me?" Obiageli laughed, but the laugh was not hers. "People only say you have changed when they cannot control you anymore." Adaoma stared. "Who told you that?" Obiageli's fingers tightened around the golden handle. "Nobody." Then Adaoma heard it, a whisper so soft it could have passed for wind if the evening had not been still. "She envies you." Adaoma stood. "That mirror is speaking." Obiageli's face changed. She had heard it too. Adaoma reached for the mirror, but Obiageli pulled away as though Adaoma had tried to take her own heart. "It tells me what people hide," Obiageli said. "No," Adaoma answered. "It tells you what will keep you afraid." That night, the first child disappeared from his mat. It was the little boy with the golden anklet. His mother woke before dawn and found the door open. Tiny footprints led from the sleeping mat, across the compound, through red dust, and toward the forest. By sunrise, the village was searching. They found him sitting at the foot of an iroko tree, deep in the bush, touching the anklet and whispering, "The door is not ready yet." His mother carried him home, shaking, and people called it sleepwalking, because fear is easier to swallow when it is given an ordinary name. 2 nights later, 3 adults walked out of their homes in their sleep. The farmer, a young man with a golden ring, and the chief's messenger. They were found near the same iroko tree, standing in a line and facing darkness. After that, fear entered Umuagu properly. Doors were barred before sunset. Men slept with machetes. Mothers warned children not to pick up anything shining from the ground. Yet the stranger still sat in the chief's palace because the gold had already entered the village's stomach. One midnight, Adaoma woke to the sound of sweeping. Outside, under moonlight, her mother was sweeping golden dust away from their doorway. "Mama," Adaoma whispered, Neka stopped and leaned on the broom. "It has marked this house." Then she told Adaoma the old story her own mother had carried. Beyond the hills, there had once been another village, poor and proud. Gold began appearing in the stream, then in farms, then in cooking pots. A stranger came after the gold and told them they had been chosen. They became rich, Neka said. Then strange. After 7 market days, the entire village walked into the forest at night. Traders came the next morning and found food still warm in pots, doors open, goats tied to trees, and sleeping mats empty. Adaoma could barely breathe. "Where did the people go?" "Nobody found them." "How do you know this?" Neka looked at her daughter. "My mother was from that village. She survived because her grandmother dragged her back before she crossed the door." "What door?" Neka pointed toward the forest. "The one that opens when enough people accept his gifts." The next evening, the stranger held a feast without asking permission. By sunset, food had appeared in the market square. Rice, roasted meat, thick fish soup, palm wine, fruit, and pots so full that hungry people forgot they were afraid. The chief stood beside the stranger and announced that Umuagu would celebrate the end of suffering. Adaoma went because Obiageli would be there. Neka begged her not to, but Adaoma could not leave her friend to the mirror. The village square glowed with lamps, drums played, people ate too quickly. Some danced with red eyes, as if joy had become a fever. Then the drums stopped. The stranger lifted his golden staff. "My people," he said, "why should you suffer in a world that has refused to love you? You have tasted what I can give. Food, beauty, respect, safety. Tonight the door opens." A cold wind moved through the square. Adaoma reached for Obiageli's hand. Obiageli did not resist, and that frightened Adaoma more than if she had pulled away. At midnight, the people bound to golden gifts began walking toward the forest road. Not everyone. Only those who had accepted what the stranger gave. They moved like people half awake, carrying gold in their hands, around their necks, beneath their wrappers. Families cried and pulled at them. Some walkers wept but kept moving. The forest road looked different that night. The trees stood too close. The air smelled like rain, though the sky was clear. Between 2 iroko trees, golden light pulsed like a second sunrise, trapped in the bush. Then the door appeared. It was tall, beautiful, and terrible because it did not look terrible. Beyond it lay another Umuagu, farms full, houses painted, streams silver, children clothed well, women laughing without worry, men standing straight with no debt bending their shoulders. The lie was shaped exactly like their suffering. The stranger opened his arms. "Come." The chief took the first step towards the door. Then Neka shouted his childhood praise name. He stopped. She shouted it again, and reminded him of the boy he had been before power found him. The boy who once shared his only roasted yam with a blind beggar. The boy who became chief because he could listen. The golden cowries around his neck cracked. He fell to his knees. Mama Urena, the oldest woman in Umuagu, began calling others by the names tied to who they had been before fear and longing entered them. She called the farmer by the name his mother used when he fed neighbors during a flood. She called the grieving mother by the name she bore before. Sorrow made her cling to the anklet. One by one, people began waking. The gold did not leave them gently. It burned cold in their hands, whispered promises, and showed each person what they wanted most. The terrible thing was that some still wanted the door even after knowing it was a trap. Adaoma pushed through the crowd until she reached Obiageli. Her friend stood at the edge of the doorway with the mirror in her hand. Inside the false Umuagu, another Obiageli waited. Dazzling, admired, never ignored, never ordinary. Obiageli whispered, "I can rest there." Adaoma held her. "Then be afraid here with me. Do not go where you have to lose yourself to feel safe." The mirror grew brighter. Obiageli shook as if roots were being pulled from her chest. Then she dropped it. It cracked on a stone. The golden door screamed. The stranger's beauty drained away until emptiness wore the memory of a man. He turned to Adaoma and offered her the one thing her heart had cried for. Her father, smiling beneath the mango tree, calling her name. For one moment, Adaoma was only a daughter who wanted her father back. Then Nneka whispered, "My child, do not let grief sell you." Adaoma looked at the image and said, "If you were truly my father, you would not ask me to enter darkness to find you." The light went out. The door shut. The stranger vanished with it. Morning found Umuagu alive, ashamed, poor again, but wiser. The gifts lost their glow. The strange crops died. The chief apologized. Obiageli buried the broken mirror herself. Adaoma remained quiet, but no one mistook quiet for smallness again. And from then on, when elders warned children that all that glitters is not gold, they told them what happened in Umuagu. A village almost walked smiling into its own destruction because suffering made a lie look like salvation.